Welcome to the Expona Audio Insider Podcast. My name is Lenny Florentine, and I am joined today by the one and only HiFi Bear. And he is representing the T10 Bespoke company, which makes some wild luxury hi-fi items that I can't wait to get into because I got to question this. This is crazy. But hi-fi, but where did you come up with that? Where did this nickname come from?
So the real story, the fact is, I started doing hi-fi back in the car stereo competition days in 19.
The Ayaska days?
So funny you should know. So I started Ayaska competitions in 85, 86. I was the youngest person to ever win the Ayaska World Finals. I was 16 years old in 1987 when I won in Tempe, Arizona in the 251 to 500 watt category. So that was my official HiFi Bear has arrived, on the scene. I'm an old car audio guy.
I just actually did a podcast with Ayaska, so I'm a little up to date with who they are, and they're going to be at Expona, so that's going to be interesting. You're going to have to get back in there. You're going to have to go over to the.
I do it with my boat. I've got nothing fancy in my Jeep these days, but I got a wicked about 5,000 watts and mostly JL and old Polk Momo speakers and other stuff. The boat slams. It's stupid.
So on a boat, we're going to have to go out on the boat and check this system out because that's going to be interesting.
A little wakeboarding, maybe a little iced tea.
Oh yeah, a little iced tea. The iced tea would be good.
We'll do a little barefooting, and we'll do a little wakeboarding, and we'll listen to some good jams.
And I'll be doing the podcast after that in the cast.
Yeah, fair. Me too.
All right, so you were the youngest person to win the Ayaska World Finals Championship, and then how did it grow from there?
I went to college at K-State University, studied construction engineering, which is like mechanical engineering and civil engineering and business management all kind of smushed together. I was going to be a builder, and I did that for a bit. But what really happened is that my co-founders and I at the time started a company. We built a stereo store in Manhattan, Kansas. It's called Bump and Thump Audio Specialist, where too loud is just right. That was our slogan. And
I love it.
We had Bump and Thump party DJs during college, and then we took that name and morphed it into the car stereo store. And for that car stereo store, we needed an audio video switching system. And so we designed and invented and patented one, and then turned that into the company that carried us forward for the next 20 odd years when building audio video switching systems was still a thing and people were demonstrating gear in stores. And so, that was my first career. And then starting in about 2010 or so, we had always had a bunch of audio companies as customers, Klipsch and Polk and Denon and Bose and Sony and all these companies that we worked with because we were designing and building audio video showrooms and displays. And along the way, our design shops had gotten pretty solid, and companies started asking us to design and develop products with them. One of my first really fun ones in the headphone space is back in 2011, we designed what were the world's first smart-enabled headphones. They were for Denon. First headphones with apps, right? I remember being over in Japan with a team in Kawasaki at Denon, and these guys are absolute audio experts. There were like 70 headphone engineers in the Denon team back then. And yet, even in 2011, we're way into smartphones by then in the United States. But back in 2011, these guys all still have candy bar phones and flip phones. None of them have any apps. None of them have wrapped their mind around the idea that audio and smartphones are gonna have a massive merge. And so I was acutely aware of that, in part because I had children by then. My youngest daughter, I think, was 12 or 13 at the time. She's like 26 now. And, she had like furry skull candy headphones and an iPhone. And here I got racks full of Macintosh Labs and Klipsch and all this great stuff. My kids think that shit's a refrigerator. Like they have no idea what it's for. Because even if we were listening to a movie or listening to music, they would stick their headphones on and zone out, with their iPhones flipping through content. And so, yeah, they thought that Skull Candy headphones and an iPhone were hi-fi. And for a guy that spent his whole life building, stereos and designing audio equipment, that's kind of offensive. But it was a wake-up call. And the wake-up call is we've got a generation of consumers out there, people that were my kids, who are now completely blind or deaf. Better, they're deaf to the idea that hi-fi even exists. They don't know what it is. They don't know how to describe it. They don't have the vernacular. They don't understand the technology. And frankly, their ears are stupid because they've been listening to really bad shit for a long time. And so we started Ear Micro to develop, the world's best in-ear computers. And that's what takes us all the way to present day. And so that the idea was to take, everything you're doing with smartphones and smart apps and sort of wearable tech and that whole genre of stuff, and then take everything that you would use in a desktop hi-fi audio systems, like great, transducers and a great Class AB amplification and great DSP and heavy duty codecs, and smash all of it down to where we could make it fit inside your head, right? In these little tiny devices. Kind of fun. You look, you realize the ear hole is bigger than my computer, right? So 60,000 hours of R&D, everything I've ever known in a lifetime of audio went into making something that goes completely inside your head. You can't even see it. When I put a pair of these in, they're gone, right? They get buried. And they're not going to come out of your head. They're not going to wiggle loose. You look like a normal dude, except, right, I can be listening to complete high-res, hi-fi audio while I'm pumping gas or passing gas, or walking down the streets of New York or whatever. So basically the idea is all the sound that I used to get in my competition car audio, systems, or what I get in a great 2-channel home, and I design stuff for Macintosh Labs, another one of my clients, all that quality inside your head. So there you go. It's tech meets hi-fi meets miniaturization, and that's a hard thing to do.
Yeah, because you're exactly right. Like the generation now doesn't really understand hi-fi the way, and I'm probably even at the tip of that. I mean,
yeah, you're younger than me. Turns out I got more.
it's just the beard is not all the way gray yet, right?
Just for men, right?
Right. Oh yeah, for sure. Um, but like this generation now that they wear AirPods, they may do the over the ear headphones, but it's all a lot. Yeah, you're right. It's going to be like whatever they find on the shelf, and to them that's it.
That's it.
And they're just listening on their phones. That is all they've probably ever known. Or a sound bar, right? And they, yeah, right. I know. I'm sorry. And they just they don't know the hi-fi world, so trying to get them into hi-fi is a big challenge.
Yeah, it is.
And
Even the other thing that's a challenge. Like I grew up, I was a musician, right? I played classical piano and guitar, and then later added drums and bass so that I could be my own, one-man rock band. I had like a Tascam 4-track cassette recorder, I could bounce tracks and do all that. Well, I was like 8, right? 8 or 9, the Tascam came out. And so from really even my most formative years, I understood how a recording is made, how you optimize a recording, how you blend a mix, and what happens when you F it up, right? How a good song goes from pretty good to pretty bad, really as a result of the work that the mix engineer does and the way that the recording is captured. And so I was intimately familiar. And as I grew up, I continued to build my home studio, and then later ended up with a pretty nice studio. But that's another story. I spent a lot of time thinking as a young person about, okay, what makes the music sound the way it sounds? And so then it was really natural when I got into high school and college and found, hi-fi audio to go, oh yeah, all this effort that people are spending in recording studios to capture the intent of the artist and to get it laid down and to get it mixed and mastered, to allow that to get blown out the window, either because you got a crappy car radio or you got a crappy home stereo, or now because everybody's mobile all the time, a crappy portable system, that's sad, and so there's been any number of companies along the road that sort of had this idea that, hey, your portable audio should not suck. And in our industry, in the hi-fi, portable audio industry, of course, you've got great handheld DACs and handheld amps and either wired IEMs, custom fit or universal, and you got great wired over ear cans, and that's awesome. You get a phenomenal experience, right? And all kudos to that. Except, damn it, those wires, right? And the wires are a frustration. I mean, I guess if you're Noli and Monster Cable, the wire the wire was all cool and stuff. But
no, the wires, that's a big deal. Like, I don't know anyone that uses, I mean, there's people that use wired headphones and stuff like that. But like anyone that I just know, right, that not in the business, but just in general, nobody has wired headphones.
No, and vice versa. What hi-fi guy do you know that has wireless?
Correct. So like
Mason Dixon line. There's the guys that are like, hey, wireless audio is for chumps. It's for teenagers. It's for idiots, right? And then vice versa. The chumps are wireless guys are looking at the wired guys going, dude, why do you want to carry around a brick in your pocket with wires, fished up through your jacket or what the hell ever? That's not convenient or fun or cool. So yeah, the two camps have sort of split off. And look, for a long time, it was there were fair critiques, meaning the hi-fi guys were like, well, but wireless, it sounds like shit. Yeah, a long time ago, you used to have to plug an Ethernet cord into the side of your computer to stream a movie, at 4K.
This is true. Or a telephone line.
You don't anymore, right? You don't even think about it. When was the last time you plugged in an Ethernet cable into anything? Because Wi-Fi finally got good and reliable and fast, right? And the same thing has happened with Bluetooth, low power Wi-Fi, like what we're doing with the new Qualcomm S7 Pro. It's got low power Wi-Fi on board, along with Bluetooth and Bluetooth low energy. And so you got it's a tri-band radio, and it can do a lot of really, really cool stuff, including if you use the newest chip from Qualcomm, 196.24 high bit rate streaming over Wi-Fi. So you can put your ear computers in and walk around an entire Wi-Fi enabled building, for example, and be streaming at 196.24.
So this is something that I didn't know existed. Okay. So to me, not a headphone guy, but I have AirPods, but they're Bluetooth, I didn't know you could just stream Wi-Fi to your earbuds.
Just this year. And only right now with Qualcomm. So Qualcomm, and MediaTek and others that are out there producing kind of the high-end Bluetooth capable and now Wi-Fi capable chipsets, they're just introducing this tech. It's just going to start coming out in new products this year and next. But it's a big deal. Already with existing...
I mean, that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's zeros and ones. And whether the zeros and ones get to you through a cable or get to you through the air, all you care about is what's your resolution and your bit depth. If you've got 196.24 or 192.24, you got all the resolution that reasonable people could ever want and more. The truth of the matter is, if you're my age, you can't hear above 16K anyhow. And so a 4416 signal is fine when you look like me. But for people that are, legitimately audiophiles, and regardless of their age, they want to know that the resolution is all there. Then you want either, 96.24 or 192.24. And now you can do not just 96.24, which we've all been able to do for about 2 years now. Now you're going to be able to step it all the way up. And it won't be long for it's, 380, whatever the next one up is. So yeah, the resolutions and the codecs are there. The speed and the latency are coming way down. We're working on a new codec. It's a proprietary one we're developing in-house. And it's going to take you down to 3.5 milliseconds of latency.
Wow.
And at 3.5 milliseconds latency, we're faster than the belt pack and wires that musicians are wearing on stage. And so now you're going to be able to take your in-ear computer and literally throw all the rest of that rack mount transceiver and the belt pack and the wires and the IEMs, right? All of that goes inside your head.
So is the proper term in-ear computer? Is that what I should use?
Well, I mean, look, some people call them hearables. It's a cute term. It's like wearable, but hearable. And Nick Hunn actually created that term. He's with Y4 over in Europe. He's on the Bluetooth Standards Committee. Nick's a neat guy, smart guy. Came up with the term and it kind of stuck. And I think the term's good. The problem is, as novel as the term is, it's not really very descriptive. And so I've always used the term, and I continue to proselytize or spread the gospel about the term in-ear computer. And I think that's a much, much better term. For one thing, it draws a question mark in everybody's mind. The first thing somebody says is, well, what's an in-ear computer? And that's good, because as an industry, we want people to be thinking, that's something I haven't heard. What does that mean? What can you do? So yeah, I prefer in-ear computer. And then the next thing that happens, because it is a descriptive term, you get the in-ear part and then the computer part, and people go, well, I kind of understand computers, right? Computers run software, right? And computers have user interfaces and memory, and they communicate, right? And in two-way communication. That's what an in-ear computer is, all right? And so what you're looking at when you look at a device like the T10 Bespoke is that's an ARM quad-core processor, twin Cadence Tensilica HiFi Mini DSPs, 32 megabytes of memory, 9-axis gyroscope, that's one of your IOs. It's voice controlled, it's head motion controlled, it's mouth-based gesticulation control. We own the patents on that. So all of these user interfaces allow you to do things with the ear computer and anything the ear computer is connected to. So let's say you are using an in-ear computer in a recording studio environment, and you're in a small studio. Remember, I told you I was a musician, and I'm going to track drums, okay? And so I want to track drums. I want to have a click track in my ear, right? I'm going to drum to the click track. You can do this on stage too, but you're obviously going to do it in your studio. Now I want to slow down the click track. So what would I do? Slow down my head, bite my teeth, and lock in the click track at that new. Oh, let's speed it up, right? Lock it.
You can control it just by, wow.
Computer, right? So the only question is, what do I want to do with the computer? So maybe you want to tie your in-ear computers to your Peloton bike. Okay. Maybe you want to tie them into your MIDI equipment and you want to run your synthesizer with it, or your drum machine with it, or your click track with it, or you want to start or stop a recording on your digital audio workstation. Fine. Because it's a computer, it's got communications, it's got interface, it's got memory, and it runs software. So the more people think about ear computing as a legitimate platform, just like you would your smartwatch or your smartphone that runs apps. You run apps in your ear and you can do all kinds of cool, extensible stuff. We're just a little ahead of the curve. So most people haven't thought about it yet, but they don't have to think very long. And they're like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff I could do if I didn't have to use my eyes to look at a screen, and I didn't have to use my hands or my thumbs to type on the screen I'm looking at.
Wouldn't that be great if your thumbs didn't hurt all the time?
Less about pain, more about friction, and more about what are you giving up. I mean, think about something as simple as a gamer, right? A gamer's busy with his thumbs and he's busy with his eyes. What if we give him another computing interface? It's like we gave him two more hands, because it's another control surface to use your head, your voice, your motions, and your mouth in ways that you would previously have to use a screen and your fingers.
Wow. Yeah, that could tie right in with, you're talking to the right group of people who would be geared towards this, Now, is this something that over time can be, like, if you get one of these in-ear computers, are they upgradable? Like, they must be so tiny. I don't even know how the memory, that it's just beyond my capability. It's so tiny.
Is a screw. People say I have a screw loose, right? And they're probably right. When I was growing up and you were building a computer, you got a case, you got a power.
Like my compact Presario type thing.
Well, I grew up with the Atari 400, then the Atari 800, then the Atari 1200, I had the Commodore 64, I had the Apple I and the Apple II, because I'm a little older. And in all of these cases, there was a motherboard and there was slots, and you plugged in more memory, or plugged in a disk drive, you plugged in, a modem. And so the idea was that that a computer was built around a chassis, right? And you could always upgrade it. I hate the fact that people keep producing cheap products and you got to throw them away every 2 years when the technology changes. It's disrespectful to the environment. It's disrespectful to consumers' pocketbooks. It's planned obsolescence. We're not surprised when companies like Apple do that to people, right? But as a hi-fi guy and as an engineer, that's offensive. And as somebody that cares about the environment we all live in, that's offensive. So when we designed T10 Bespoke, That's all ceramic. It's the same shit you make space shuttle tiles out of. It's zirconium. It's ridiculously strong, lightweight, and thin. So that helps us keep the device size down. But because it's strong, like a lobster shell, this is an exoskeleton. It's a chassis. We unscrew one screw, the whole thing comes apart on the tabletop. You want to replace the speakers, you want to upgrade the chips, you want to upgrade the memory, you want to change out the sensors, you want to, anything you can imagine, you just take it apart and you do it and then you put it back together again. So it's like a little itty bitty city inside of here, but all the parts and pieces are replaceable forever. And if you notice when I put this in my head, right, it's tiny. I can sleep in it. You can't feel it. Meaning this is terminal form factor. The product
that is a game changer right there, because
smaller,
you can't
right?
sleep on
Sure.
sleep on that.
No, and when you look at all of these other in-ear products, they're big, right?
They want their logo to show.
What I care about is that the product is the best in the world, sounds like God gave it to you, and it's always upgradable so the technology never becomes obsolete. And that's what this is about. Now, look, that's expensive. Building things out of ceramic zirconium is expensive. This is space-age materials and space-age tooling. This is an $8 million piece of R&D. But just like it's expensive to make it the first time and to invent it the first time, I can run this form factor for the next 30 or 40 years. Just like, remember Klipsch horns, right? Or
Right.
the Mac 275 amplifier with the beautiful tubes on it.
Yep. Heats the whole room.
That's as valuable today as it was when that shit was invented 50 or 60 years ago. So
exactly,
a true hi-fi guy approach, and you say, we're going to build heirloom quality products that will be valuable for generations. And those heirloom quality products happen to be in-ear computers instead of giant speakers. That's the approach that we're using here. So people who care deeply about sound, who really like tech, who want upgradability and an absolute, never obsolete product that literally fits like it was a part of your body, then that's what this product is for.
I feel like musicians, like you said, musicians would absolutely love this. Have you had a lot of experience with musicians and people in the music industry using these, and how did that go? Because that's an interesting concept. Like, instead of just your normal in-ear monitors, using those, it would be so much more accurate when you're performing.
So look up a cool guy. Oh my God, is he cool? His name is Jason, Jaycen. Cool spelling even. Jason Joshua. And Jason Joshua is one of the top 3 or 4 most in-demand recording engineers in the world today. He's out of Los Angeles. He runs Canton House Studios. The new, Beyonce album that won all the awards at the Grammy. Yeah, that's his engineering work. He does, Bieber and lots of pop artists. He does plenty of hip hop, and he does other stuff too. So he's not just a genre-specific recording engineer, and he does seminars, and music companies make plugins, in partnership with him. So one of our artists that we built T10s for got us a meeting to introduce this technology to Jason Joshua, which we did about a month and a half ago, or maybe 2 months ago now. And so Jason, he really doesn't. He's the same thing. He was told, "Hey, this company's coming. They've created an in-ear computer. They want you to listen to it." He's like, "What? Okay, sure." So we meet him on a Saturday morning. He looks like he's been up late.
I'm sure he has.
Up late. I was feeling a little guilty. We got him out of bed. It's like 11 o'clock in Los Angeles. So we sit him down, and we're in his kitchen, right? And we give him like a 5-minute spiel, and then I'm like, and at the end of the day, just put them in your ears, okay? If you like what you hear, we'll talk more. So he puts them in, and he dials up title, and he listens to all kinds of stuff, right? Stuff that is on our high-res playlist, stuff that he's mixed and mastered. And I swear, we're used to people putting them in. They'll listen for 10 or 15, maybe 10 minutes, right? And then they'll have their questions. Joshua listens, and he listens, and he listens. And I'm starting to think, hey,
especially if it's his mix. Man. Like, that's the tell.
So he pulls them out. He puts them down softly on the table in front, and he says, "How can I help you?" As the conversation progressed, another great quote was, every studio engineer and every artist who's mixing or mastering from the road and can't have their studio with them needs to be using T10 Bespoke. And so we're actually hoping, we got to put the deal together. I think what we're going to be doing is bringing a head and torso model right? You call a HATS model, and it's a mechanical head with microphones inside of it that replicates perfectly the way that humans hear. We sit it in his chair at Canton House Studios, and we capture specifically the acoustics of Canton House Studios. Then we use our DSPs to replicate that provably. We can give you the graph and show you. You are now hearing exactly what you would hear if you were at Canton House Studios, or Abbey Road, or Muscle Shoals, Alabama, or Studio City, or pick your favorite recording studio. So we'll end up with a whole bunch of plugins, apps, right, that allow people who are musicians or younger or can't afford a whole recording studio, but need to know that they're listening at top quality. And we can give them, for $3,000, an in-ear computer that will give them that assurity, backed by, top artists and musicians that we're bringing into the fold.
I don't even know what to say. That would be. I'm not a musician, but I know a lot of people who are, and that's a big. That's a struggle. That's a struggle for me in doing content and just being on the road. When I'm on the road, I have my MacBook and I have my AirPods. That's it. You can't do anything else. Like, that's all you can use, and you just got to hope that it sounds good. And I can't tell you how many headphones and AirPods and whatever that I've used over the years, and every time, even mixing YouTube videos, every headphone sounds different.
Yeah.
And when you edit a video and then you put it out, or you put it on a TV for somebody to watch, and you're like, that's not what it sounded like. It could be, and then I would put in another pair of, headphones, or put, whatever, and listen to the edit again. I'm like, that is not what it sounded like through that other pair of headphones.
Well, here's the honest reason why. If you're dealing with studio monitors, right? Most studio monitors are powered, unless they're really big old legacy monitors. But most people are using like a nice pair of powered Yamahas or Barefoot Audio or one of the great studio monitors. And those things with an integrated amplifier and a DSP and equalizer, they've been tuned to give you razor flat signal response. What you see is what you get, right? WYSIWYG. And so the WYSIWYG should be good enough that if the speakers are positioned in the same place, played at a relatively similar gain level in the same studio, because you're going to have acoustics from the studio, it doesn't matter whether you got a Tannoy or you got a Yamaha or you got a Barefoot, you should be getting flat response, except for room acoustics, okay? Now, when you get into home audio, there's too many variables, so everybody's going to sound different. When you get into passive headphones, too many variables, the fit, the seal, just too many, the speaker drivers that are used. But when you get to an in-ear device, what just happened to the acoustic environment? It became tight, it became predictable, okay? It became very easily measurable with an in-ear microphone.
Now you're just eliminating all the variables. Right. And then you talked about the in-studio experience of being able to capture what it's like in a studio. Would you be able to do the same thing? Like, let's say you have a massive hi-fi system at home that you put all this work into, and you love the way it sounds, but you want to hear that on the go.
You could. The only trick is to do it, you got to have the head and torso model, and you got to come in and take the acoustic measurements. Because again, the phase and time alignment of the way that your speakers are set up in your room makes a big deal. And we've all been there, right? Where we've heard somebody, bless their hearts, where they've spent a ton of money to buy a great hi-fi system, and then they didn't know how to set it up. And so you go in, you listen to it, and you're like, sorry, Charlie, sounds like dog shit, right? So room acoustics are important in those two-channel systems. And yeah, if you put a head and torso model in there and you take the acoustic measurements, and we understand the way that the room is performing, what's the phase, what's the time alignment, how are the frequency responses, how is this all being rendered into a human's binaural hearing, we can capture that. And the second you've captured it, better or worse, you can replicate it and tune it to be played into your ears through an in-ear device. So it's physics, right? It's very, very, it's simple stuff. Once you realize what are the parameters and what kind of equipment is required first to capture and then to render back exactly what somebody is hearing in their studio or hearing in their listening room. Yeah,
that's just I don't even know where to start.
Well, I'll tell you something cool else. You want one? I'll blow your mind on one more topic, right?
All right, one more time.
One more mind blow. So if you've ever done any graphic editing, right? You've used Photoshop or something like it.
Sure, I use Photoshop.
Right. And you remember if you wanted to, a few years ago, you wanted to remove the dog from the photo or get rid of the ex-girlfriend. It was like an 8-hour exercise.
Took hours.
Took hours. You had to COB, and then you had to figure out how to fake up a background, and it's never looked right. Now you can just like highlight something, and then poof, it's gone, and the background's filled in. Because why?
Because AI.
Because AI, right? Now the thing is, AI can do for sound exactly what it can do for pixels. What's that mean?
I like that.
Okay. It means that with the right AI algorithms, we can do things like characterize your voice. Your voice is not your wife's voice. It's not my wife's voice. It's not my daughter's voice. It's your voice. And I might decide, you might decide that we want to have a conversation. And our respective ear computers will allow your voice in my ear and my voice in your ears and nobody else's.
That's interesting.
Right.
I do like that. You could just drown it all out.
So there's a company, actually several. Zoom is what did this, right? The COVID and the need to be doing these kinds of meetings where people were not in a studio environment, but they needed to be on a conference call. And they needed the dog barking to go away, or the UPS man knocking on the door, or the wife haranguing, get off the call. All of that needed to go away. And so algo companies started going, hey, wait, we can use AI and we can write these algorithms. Well, they work today on your laptop. They work increasingly on your phone. But the algos are getting good. They're getting smaller. You use fewer MIPS, millions of instructions per second, right? And as those algorithms get more efficient, and as the power of the chips and how much we can fit on a piece of silicon gets more and more strong, already this year we've had the intersection point. And on the newest Qualcomm S7, there's a separate AI processor on board, gives us 100 times more processing power than we had on the first generation of the product. And it will allow you to go in and perform via some clever software and a bunch of AI plugins that we're bringing to the table, what we call selective hearing, right? So any
I have a little selective hearing, some people may say.
Who's been claiming they had selective hearing for years. We're going to give you real selective hearing. And think of this as bionic hearing. Think of it as the ability to say, literally on your app with sliders, I like chirping birds. They make me happy. I hate barking dogs. They make me angry. I want more chirping birds and I want no barking dogs. I want no crying babies. I do want to hear my wife, but at half volume. I definitely want to hear my buddy, right? And so you'll soundscape. You will be using your in-ear computers to tailor your environment, just like you can use AI to take the old girlfriend out of the photo.
Love that. I'm hearing bark. See, I can't even. I'm just, my mind is right. I'm hearing barking dogs right now, and I'm like, man, if I just didn't hear that, that would be wonderful, especially at night. That would be just unbelievable. I love that concept. Is amazing.
If you think about it, and again, it's just another way to use an ear computer to do something that's really important, adds value, and obviously you don't want to carry your laptop computer around, to process sound and then run it through wires, and then, oh, good, I took the dog barking away. That's not convenient. But when you can size the computer all the way down to fit inside the ear, and it's like having your AirPods or your T10 Bespokes doing that work just sort of magically in the background. Who doesn't want that? So think about the entire hearing aid industry, where a hearing aid today is, I can turn it up, right? I could put a band filter on it, say get rid of the really high shit, get rid of the really low stuff. Maybe a little bit of noise filtering, but it's generally analog and not very good. And so the problem with most hearing aids is that you get someone into a noisy environment and it goes to hell. Now the hearing aid isn't helping them, it's hurting them. So when you add AI hearing to something like a hearing aid or an in-ear computer, now you're not just helping somebody hear the sound that they want to hear, you're getting rid of the sounds they don't want to hear and are distracting from their ability to comprehend what it is they do want to hear. So expect in the next 3 to 4 years, sort of the ear computing industry, the pro audio industry, the hearing aid industry, all of them are sort of just coming together. It's not different than in 2007, right?
Yeah.
Your computer and your cell phone and apps and all this stuff sort of just came together and created a whole new way for us to compute.
And it's just like AI, like with Photoshop, right? When AI first came out on Photoshop, people would have 8 fingers if you tried to mess something up, right? And it's not the thing anymore. And that was just months ago. I mean, this is
Just
so
once.
powerful.
Yes.
I actually I have a friend that does AI, and I was at his house the other day. He had a monster hi-fi system. We were listening to the hi-fi, and then we started talking to his phone for like 4 hours because he had a cognitive AI thing on the. And I was like, wow! And but this could go into just like what you're doing, any aspect of what we do, and
Have you seen
it's
the AI music creation tools? That I mean, they're
so the guy whose house I was over has the very first AI album on the platforms. So on Spotify, and it might be on Tidal and stuff, but it's the first AI band.
wow.
So the band doesn't exist,
Yeah,
but it does exist because he made whatever, however that works. The entire album on Spotify is done with AI.
I was sitting with Big Duke, who's a producer in L.A. He's done like Kendrick Lamar and The Game and all this other stuff. Cool guy. He's the one that introduced me to Jason Joshua, by the way. I
Okay.
was sitting with Big Duke, and we're at his house, and I'm asking him just because I'm a musician, right? And I went through the years of work to learn how to not only play an instrument but play several of them and play them well. Sorry, toot my own horn. Who cares? AI's.
I can't play anything well, so good. I respect that.
I asked Big Duke. I'm like, so how is AI impacting you? I mean, don't you think it's taken all the artistry out of the music? And he's like, stop right there. Absolutely the opposite. And I said, okay, educate me. And he says, so we're gonna make a song right here, you and me, right? We're gonna record a little bit of our conversation, and we're gonna have AI create the lyrics, right? And then we're going to have an AI music generator create a song, and we're going to start off with 5 or 6 different genres. We'll do a country song, we'll do a rap song, we'll do a folk song, we'll do. I'm like, okay, all right, whatever. And like 6 minutes later, we're hearing the Big Duke and Bear, song rendered across 5 different genres. Oh wait, and they're good. They've got great bridges. One of them had a solo in it. What? I got to tell you, I'm a lifelong musician, and if I had just heard one of these songs on the radio, I wouldn't have instantaneously fingered it as anything other than a very well overproduced, right, overcompressed
Mm-hmm.
piece of music. Like, wait, every other pop genre is putting out right now. It was that good. Then he said, so here's what we're doing. He says, as a producer, I can have the AI generate 1,000 renditions of a song and a million different beats that we can try and throw at it faster than I can have rooms full of people trying to gin out various incantations of a particular piece of music or a particular way to spin a piece of music. Now, as human curators, our job as a producer has always been to say, okay, here's what you started with, but I got an idea. We could take it a little further if we added this or brought in a horn section here. Let's get in this great collaborator who could do the rap overlay. So he says, my job is the same, except for now my resource pool is infinite and instantaneous. And so by the time he messed with it for like 15 minutes, we went from 6 great starter tracks to one final version. It was a country version of all ridiculous things. And it was phenomenal. So I'm sitting there thinking this whole time, well, wait a minute. All we're doing is command line prompts and further refinements. What if I'm out and about? What if I'm on the road, right? What I can be in a position where inspiration strikes me. I need to bang it around a little bit. I need to try a little bit. Maybe I'm going to beatbox a little bit. I'm going to have all that captured, and I'm going to turn that into music on the go. Will it be my final take? No. May I go into a studio and actually record it with real human beings? Maybe. But the point becomes, again, the ear computer could become a gateway to AI music creation that really gives people inspiration on the fly in ways they've never dreamed possible.
Yeah, no more notepads. Just like get it going in the ear computers, and you'll just have like you said, like it may not be the final product, but like if you're like, I want it to sound like this, I have this idea, I got these lyrics, whatever, you can like make up a rough draft
Exactly.
that you can listen to, like ready to go.
Exactly.
So that takes me. I want to keep going with this, but I need to fit in.
You don't have infinite amounts of time, right?
I don't have infinite amounts of time, but I want to fit in the things that to me looked like like a beetle. The these
Oh, you mean the case?
the cases.
All right.
So
So,
I was like, this looks like something. I don't know. That's the only thing I could come up with. But so these cases, if you go to the website, they are some of the wildest things I've ever seen. And it looks like they're made up specifically for different people or just whatever anybody wants to do on these things. So what am I looking at?
so maybe you've noticed that I have a lot of personality disorders.
It's okay, me too. I'm pretty calm on this show though.
One of my personality disorders is that I like things that are over designed. You know, where the level of attention to detail is just sort of silly. It seems to me that the case for many wireless in-ear devices is an afterthought. You know, it's like a refrigerator. You just put the milk away and forget about it. And I'm like, no. I didn't spend 60,000 hours designing the ear computer so that I could stick it in a refrigerator, some little white box. That's just. And so we designed the T10 Bespoke case to be this elegant piece of Swiss watch quality mastership. It's the world's thinnest, right? My thing is I like to stick it in my coin pocket. So I got
The coin, yeah.
the coin pocket. Oh, got a big belly. Sorry about that,
I
folks.
love the coin pocket.
Definitely, I'm not sexy, but that happens with age. And so, and so we hand make these things, and I mean, listen, little things like listen to the door.
Satisfying. It's got that.
Yeah, it gives me goosebumps, right? So the ASMR folks out there. So a thing like this, similarly, it's all screwed together. It's ceramic. It's metals. We load them up with diamonds, and this happens to be one for Ace of Spades, Jay-Z's company. Anyhow, sometimes we put carbon on them. These are collaborations with Kim Hanakun. She's being called the next Monet, and she's
I see that one on the site. I'm looking at that one right now.
that's a collab with the Museum of
I'm glad you can pronounce the last name because I was just looking at it.
Yeah, she's a great painter, and so she's doing she does commissions that are like $100,000 commissions, and then she cuts a piece out of the commission, and that becomes the leather inserts on your teeth. That way, you can take her art and our hi-fi with you when you're out and about. Why not?
And you can wear these can you wear these as a necklace type? That's
Yeah.
where I see a lot of people.
That's what the bail is, and we make them with or without the bail. Everyone's shipped with a flat piece that goes here or a bail, so you can keychain it, you can pocket watch chain it. A lot of guys do that. A lot of gals will wear it on a lanyard. And again, it's another way to say, hey, listen, I've got my hi-fi audio with me. Any place I go, I'm flip the door open and I'm ready to rock. So, if you've got a really nice piece of kit, there's no reason to hide it away in your pocket. So if you want to wear it or pocket watch it, chain it, do it. And it's a cool. I'll tell you this: if you put one of these on the tabletop at a restaurant, I tell people set your stopwatch. In under 5 minutes, someone is going to stop because they can't get by and they can't walk by it again and not go, what is that? So
Yeah, I mean that's what it looks. I'm looking at. Are they all custom or are there like a certain amount of variations that you just have?
we have a white one and a black one and a brown one that are the entry level base price point, $3,000. You get all the tech, you get all the renewability, you get all the repairability, you get all the upgradability, you get all the sound quality, you get everything for $3,000. So that's your entry level price. Everything you do above that is just embellishing, just having fun, creating art, creating a personal thing. Because remember, if you're going to use this for the next 30 years, not the next 3 years, then investing the time and effort to personalize it and customize it and make it something that really appeals to you emotionally and physically is worthwhile. You're not going to do that with a set of AirPods, but you would do it with a set of Klipschorns or a Macintosh amp that you plan to use, or an exotic car. You're specifying your Riva yacht, right? You're going to own it for the next 30 years. You're specifying your Koenigsegg. You're going to own it for the next 30 years. So that's the same thing. You're saying, listen, because this is an investment, something I plan to have and use daily, forever, I'm going to spend a little extra time and a little extra money and we'll make it my own.
It's so fascinating that you can customize. I think that, like, as far as musicians,
You know why you can customize them? Because they're all built here.
they're all built right there.
Absolutely. There's zero China in this thing.
That's amazing.
I'm not a China guy. Sorry.
That's great. No, I love it. I love it. Made in the you're in the U.S., right?
We are made in Kansas. We sit in
Kansas.
a 110-year-old Western building. There's pictures of this thing from like 1905 with horses and buggies in front of it.
Wow.
There was a shooting here. A guy on horseback rode up to rob the place in the 20s, and they threw him over the horse to carry him off after the night watchman popped him. So it was the Lenexa Town Center. I'm sitting in what used to be a ballroom where they would do dances for the town. Yeah, it's a little piece of Americana right here in the middle. And we're building the world's top, in-ear computers in this old Western building. It's pretty fun.
I know the first time I went to the site, I ventured and somehow ended up on like the super customizable high end, and I'm like, what am I getting myself into? I'm not really sure what's going to happen here. But actually, on the other hand, like seeing these, and I was looking at the ones that were $100,000 plus, right? I'm looking, I'm like, what is this? But knowing that there's the typical version is like $3,000.
$3,000
is what, like that. It's a different aspect. If I just started out and saw them for $3,000, I'd be like, okay. But I went and saw the $100,000 ones, and now I'm like, well, $3,000, that's nothing. We just
yeah. And look, we built them for sheikhs in Dubai, like Mana'a bin Rashid Al Maktoum is one of my customers. Okay, cool. Sold them to oil titans in Qatar. I sold them to the CEO of Red Bull Racing, the CEO of AlphaTauri, Scuderia AlphaTauri, now Cash App Visa. We got billionaires who buy them and then gift them to other billionaires because, well, right, they've never seen or heard of something like this. Hey, this is more rare than a Richard Mille watch, right? So, the whole why are there $100,000 pieces? Well, yeah, if you're the Sultan of Brunei, or if you're, I don't know, Mbappe or Travis Kelce, you don't want white AirPods, man. That's not
no.
Right?
You're totally customizable.
We make pieces for CEOs and celebrities and that kind of crowd. We've also sold units to college kids who made payments so that they could have this tech and have this audio experience in their ear. And $3,000 is a lot of money for a college kid. And that's why if you're a good college kid and you call me and you say, I'm not a douchebag, I will make my payments, then we just give you the unit and pay us $300 a month, right? Cool.
Yeah. Now that's and are these going to be at Expona?
Gosh, yes, absolutely.
Can you try them?
Yeah, come on by. We have 6 sizes, right? So like,
okay,
fitting a running shoe. When you come and visit T10 Bespoke at Expona, the first thing we do is we say, I got to look in your ears. and folks are like, you got to do what? I'm like, I need to look in your ears. And so they turn sideways, and I look in your ear, and because I've looked at thousands and thousands of ears, I can tell you ahead of time, are you a 1, are you a 2, a 3, 4, 5, 6? I'll nail your size, usually the first time. Sometimes there's something tricky going on inside, and I got to size up 1 or down 1, but we get you exactly the right size. And you'll put these in your ear, and just like you saw me shake my head earlier, when they're sized right, you cannot shake them out of your ear. So I have folks that mow their grass in $3,000 earphones. I have folks that do their HIIT workout in $3,000 earphones. I got football players, professional football players, that do their workouts in T10 Bespoke because it's the first time they've had hi-fi sound in their head that won't fall out, right? So size and fit and seal are important. When you come to Axpona, you get to do that with us, the creators of the product. We'll make sure that you get an experience that will leave you like, wow. And then, like I said, we'll find a way to make it affordable for you. This is not about just selling luxury products to rich people. Yes, we appreciate that opportunity. It's an honor to work for some of the folks that we've been able to work for. But at the end of the day, I'm a simple guy. I created this company to build a product that I wanted to own. And so I don't care if you're rich or not. I care that you like great sound, you like great tech, you like Swiss watch level build quality. If you like those things, we'll find a way to help you get one.
That's amazing. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to have to come by and try this out. I actually can't wait. I'm very excited about this, to be honest with you.
And you can mix and master, try them for your podcast.
Yeah, I love that idea.
Yeah, we'll do that for sure, right? And
okay.
We'll make a special deal. You could be one of our ambassadors.
I love it. We'll talk about that when we're done. But actually, we gotta wrap up because we've gone double. I don't want to wrap up, but we have to. It's just how the rules work. I have a format. So, Bear, I thank you so much for joining us on the Audio Insider podcast. It's amazing. It was an
Thank you
honor.
very
It was
much.
fun.
Peace, brotherly love, and come by Axpona and get yourself an in-ear computer demo. If you like it, we'll bring you into the family. Become a part of the crew here.
Awesome. Sounds good. And for the Audio Insider podcast from Expona, we will see you guys at the show.